makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part.
Okay, it's Saturday. We need something funny. And there's nothing funnier right now than Grimes' TikTok video on AI. If you don't know who Grimes is, she is a pop singer. Has a couple of decent songs. Um, but she's also perhaps best known nowadays for being Elon Musk's wife and mother of his child. So apparently now she's discussing economics and the future of humanity and artificial intelligence on TikTok. Clearly, the most ideal forum for these kind of profound discussions. So let's look at this video. It's so cringe. Like this is I would be so embarrassed if I had a TikTok account and this was my output. But then TikTok is pretty awful. So uh, let's watch this, please. Cringe warning. This is painful to watch if you have at least a small number of functioning neurons. So here we go. Ready?
I have a proposition for the communists. So typically, most of the communists I know are not big fans of AI. But
Okay, first and foremost, there's literally been books written. Like every communist that I know loves AI. I'm socialist. I love AI. There's even a famous book that came out, Fully Automated Luxury Communism by Aaron Bastani, a popular British leftist. And it's pretty much about this exact same thing. AI could potentially lead to a huge abundance and prosperity for people under a communist or socialist regime. So,
if you think about it, AI is actually the fastest path to communism. So, if implemented correctly, AI could actually theoretically solve for abundance. Like, we could totally get to a situation where nobody has to work, everybody is provided for with a comfortable state of being, comfortable living. AI could automate all the farming, weed out systematic corruption, thereby bringing us to as close as possible to genuine equality. So basically, everything that everybody loves about communism, but without the collective farm. Because let's be real, enforced farming is really not a vibe.
oh my god. Oh, oh god. It's totally not a vibe. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Um, so I really don't know why, like, the thing she hates the most about uh, communism is the collective farming. I'm sure there's, at least if she's referring to like Soviet and Chinese, the old school Chinese communism, there probably were worse things than collectivized farms, like maybe not being imprisoned in a gulag and shot. Um, I don't know any like serious communist these days or socialist who advocates for collective farms. So, that's not in the agenda of left wing parties in any way. So I don't know what her obsession with the farms are. But here's the main problem with her argument, which is she's seeing AI as sort of the end point by after which we have communism. But what about the period before we reach the point where AI can do all our jobs? What's going to happen during that period? Because it could be a period that lasts decades, maybe even a century. We don't know. This is under the assumption that at some point AI can do most human jobs. So, is capitalism the ideal system to have during this huge period of potential disruption? What if AI only replaces 50% of jobs? what's going to happen to that 50% of people who've been made unemployed by AI? Does capitalism have an answer for this? I don't think so. Now, she, of course, has nothing to worry about because hubby is probably going to own the AI or be one of the major owners of AI, along with his buddies, Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos and every other multi-billionaire capitalist. They're going to be fine. The lucky people who might work for these companies will be fine. But what about everyone else? So, again, think of when we reach, what she's basically saying is like one day we're going to wake up and suddenly AI is going to do all our jobs. Like we're going to move from a situation where we are now, where most people have to work for a living, but no, we're going to just wake up one day and suddenly AI is going to do our jobs. That's not going to happen. That's not how it works. It's going to be a very long period of increasing unemployment and increasing precarization of employment, of existing jobs, until we reach this utopia of AI automating most of our jobs. What's going to happen during this time? You actually think a society is going to operate on 50% unemployment? And then the rest being on like outsourced gig economy contracts? Seriously, what Western democratic society is going to function without like a friggin' revolution happening? I would like all these dipshits who argue, and it's always like right wing, because left wingers who argue about AI have a convincing case of why it's problematic to get to the point where it becomes a positive thing for humanity. But the right wingers just forget for a moment that there is this process, a very long process. And you can't make a case that AI is going to be good for humanity without considering that process, which could be decades or even a century or more. If you don't have a solution to how we're going to get there without like a serious violent revolution or practically returning to medieval conditions of employment or unemployment, then you shouldn't be arguing for this. So this is absurd. It's ridiculous. Now, it's not like she really cares. It's not like she's really... I mean, the fact that she's like referring to communists in this video means that she's not really a communist in any way. And, well, in fact, one of her comments on that very video was, haha, I'm not a communist. This is a joke. But maybe the technocrats and communists could get along. Ha ha ha. Yeah. Yeah, great. The technocrats who will own the AI or manage the AI. Yeah, we're just going to get along with the communists who are going to be probably the ones who end up unemployed. It's easy for her to say, obviously, because A, she's rich, and now she's even richer by being the wife of the second richest man on the planet. So, ha ha ha. And it's also not really her ideology. I mean, this is from some comments she made a while back. My Instagram bio was, I pledge allegiance to the robot overlords for like 2 years. I thought people understood that I ultimately probably believe in an AI dictatorship. I mean, I don't think humanity is going to survive anyway, but well, she's going to be fine. She's really going to be fine. We're fucked. I think, no, you're not fucked. Everyone else is fucked, not you. I think AI is the natural evolution. It's just like we killed the fucking Neanderthals, and now they're going to kill us. I don't think democracy really works. This is like such a techno-libertarian argument. Like, yeah, fuck it. Like, let's just buy bunkers in New Zealand in the event of the apocalypse. And yeah, democracy, it cuts on my husband's profits. So not good. God forbid my husband's workers want to unionize. or want to vote for things that might regulate me. Yeah, it's clear she's not interested in any actual benefit for workers. These are the kind of things I think. Jesus Christ, like I honestly wonder what her IQ is. I actually, for the short term, I'm a bit of a socialist, but not economic. I'm into free markets. What can I say? I think capitalism can solve some things. Oh God, like, what? Jesus. Look, the best takeaway that you can get from this video is don't get your political or economic analysis from pop stars or celebrities in general. Okay, there's a reason why people go to universities and get degrees on these subjects and, you know, produce intelligent content. And even like, Jesus Christ, I'm not saying like just get your ideas from academic journals or anything. Like, even if you watch political and economic content on YouTube, at least they're like investing in actually thinking of these ideas. She does not think, like, this is the privilege of someone who at that moment just had nothing better to do than make that stupid video with like circles painted on her face, and write things like this, like, and this is 99.99% of all celebrities. And this is why you end up with some celebrities who end up like being crazy anti-vaxxers or have these, you know, or end up being Scientologists or shit like this, because they don't invest in these ideas. They just think that, oh, I'm a celebrity, I'm like beyond thinking about these things. But no, you're not. Boucher, that's her real name, by the way, argues that in truth her politics could never be easily defined because she doesn't have any. Like, this is not a consistent. So understand, you can have any political belief you want to have. That doesn't make it valid. Saying things like, I'm a bit of a socialist but not economically, how else can you be? Like, socialism is fundamentally an economic ideology. What else does she think it is? And then, I'm into free markets. Great. But then I think capital can solve some things. So even she's not even convinced that capitalism can solve all things. So what kind of capitalism are you into? So I can say, like, I could give a case. I can say, like, I'm a capitalist, which I'm not, by the way. I'm a capitalist, but I don't believe in free markets because I think the state needs to intervene in areas where there are social needs that can't be addressed by the market. So I end up being a social democrat. You know, I support the Nordic model, things like that. That's great. That shows like you thought about this. You realized, hey, capitalism is great to like produce things. But we can't let markets just operate everything. So we give a role to the state, right? That would be a consistent principle, I would think. But not this. Everything here is just a contradiction on the next thing she says. So I didn't realize everyone thought I was such a by-the-books socialist. No, like no one. I don't like. Her idiot fans on TikTok probably think that, but then they're even bigger dumbasses than she is. My politics are literally insane. No, you don't have politics. No, that's she thinks it's edgy. That's what's saddest about this. Like, I can just like think this is exactly the celebrity privilege of not having to read things and come up with a consistent ideology. He thinks it's cool to just be like, ooh, I'm a socialist because AI is going to, you know, make people not work in the end. But in reality, I'm, you know, married to a hyper capitalist techno douchebag who hates unions and hates, you know, doesn't care about people's lives during a pandemic. My politics are literally insane. I'll probably go down for it in the end. I mean, the sad part is you can say any kind of insane bullshit, and I mean, it's gonna be it's gonna trend on Twitter for a couple of days. People will make videos of this on YouTube, guilty as charged. But no one's gonna care. I don't know. This is just sad. This is sad, and I want to see the video again. I saw. I want to put it on repeat just because it's so ridiculous. So let's just watch it again.
I have a proposition for the communists. So typically, most of the communists I know are not big fans of AI. But if you think about it, AI is actually the fastest path to communism. So, if implemented correctly, AI could...
What also is really funny about it is like, she actually thinks no one has thought about this before. It's like, oh, I just came out with this brilliant idea. AI no one's talked about. I must be a fucking genius. When literally, there's been so much written about this. Like, so much written about this.
Actually, theoretically solve for abundance. Like, we could totally get to a situation where nobody has to work. Everybody is provided for with a comfortable state of being, comfortable living. AI could automate all the farming, weed out systematic corruption, thereby bringing us to...
How is AI going to weed out systematic corruption when basically the owners of AI, the capitalists, will clearly have even more power and then will be able to lobby what remnants of government exist back then, assuming it doesn't end up in like a complete official plutocracy, like some capitalist monarchy, like you hear some reactionaries argue for. What's the guarantee that this isn't gonna like the more powerful elites that you have, and the less of them, the easier it is for them to lobby government for favors. So I don't think that this will eliminate corruption in any way.
As close as possible to genuine equality. So basically, everything that everybody loves about communism, but without the collective farm.
Oh. Without the collective farm. Yeah.
Because let's be real, enforced farming is really not a vibe.
It's really not a vibe. I just love that, like Kim Kardashian voice in the end. But, like I said, there's plenty that has been written about AI, and I think you really can't think of AI being a positive thing in the long run under capitalism. Like, you can't. Which is why that is one of the better cases that I think exist out there on why we need to move beyond markets. Because in the end, assuming this time is different, and I know a lot of people think that, well, we've had disruptive technology throughout all of human history, and it hasn't led to a long-term change in employment, because we have what Joseph Schumpeter used to call creative disruption. So some industries will go, new ones will form, but employment will roughly be the same in the long run. But I think there are grounds to say that this time will be different. I think the ability of what we can envision technology in the next couple of decades, the ability of it to essentially transform workplaces is unprecedented. And I don't see that these jobs, especially a lot of sort of middle class and working class jobs, which will be eliminated by AI, there's no real replacement, because all the technologies that are kind of up and coming are very technical. Like, not everyone is just, this is like the neoliberal myth of just, we'll just retrain everyone. You're not going to retrain a factory worker, or once a robot can stack shelves at a supermarket, you're not going to suddenly retrain the shelf stacker with a biomedical degree. I mean, it's inconceivable that this is going to happen. So, under capitalism, that is the fate of all these people. Because under capitalism, if you lose out, you're just, creative destruction. There are winners and there are losers, and you picked the wrong career. You didn't climb high enough in this society to be an executive in Elon Musk's firm, so that your employment is assured in the long run, even if AI takes everyone else's jobs. So, again, we need to think beyond markets. We need to think beyond capitalism. What's going to happen? I do think this time is different. We might not see it yet in the next decade or two, but after that, I do think that we are in trouble if we don't move away from our current conception of how labor markets work under capitalism. So, there you go. That's Grimes. And I repeat, the number one takeaway from this video is just don't get your politics from fucking celebrities. Just don't. Seriously, this is trash. This is just utter trash. And I know that a lot of people have celebrities that they might idolize because maybe they make great movies, maybe they make great albums, whatever you want. That doesn't mean that they know everything about everything. So, if you like Grimes' music, that's fine, okay? But draw the line in, agreeing with the shit that she says. And that would go for any other celebrity. So, thanks for watching. Beware of AI under capitalism. And if you like this video, please like, please share, please subscribe. And I'll see you next time.